Marcel Proust was a 20th century French novelist who wrote In Search of Lost Time in French over a period of 14 years from 1913 to 1927. It considered the best novel ever written. The In Search of Lost Time is a novel about Marcel's search for a purpose in his life, not when he was young, but rather when he is on the verge of death without kids or any other forms of legacy that he can leave behind. In the course of the novel, he realizes that the art is the only way he can leave a real legacy. The art of writing fiction in order to capture his past. The lost time. Marcel is old when he realizes that, and the fact that he hasn't achieved anything substantial in his life. So he desperate for some meaningful to write about. He looks to the past to find hidden meaning, and that can inspire him to write a beautiful piece of fiction and considered art. But he finds his past locked away from him. No matter how much he tries, the past that he remembers through voluntary memory is so trivial and boring. He remembers factual information, but he not is inspiring artistic design. But then, one day, everything changed for him. He discovers a new way to access his past through a hidden door. This is the magic he has been waiting for. It's involuntary memory triggered through a senses of taste, smell, touch, and sounds. It's voluntary. It hits you when you're unaware. A quote, "The past is hidden somewhere outside the realm beyond the reach of intellect, in some material object will, in the sensation which that material object will give us, which we do not suspect." The most famous scene in the entire novel is when he dips a Madeleine into his tea and put in his mouth. Then the most incredible thing happens. The taste and smell trigger in Marcel is a past version of him, remnants of his past selves that had forgotten. It opens the floodgates of all the deep emotion experiences of his past on his lost time. The another quote, "I felt myself still reliving a past which was no longer anything more than the history of another person." So that the past self pitch on that sensation of taste, he says, is totally a different person. When Marcel realizes that one day he will die, he also realizes that his new Marcel, now fully aware of his imminent death, is in fact a different Marcel from a one who didn't realize that. The child teenager and many more versions of his Marcel didn't understand that, but now the current Marcel knows it fully. He is no longer the same person as his past versions. He is transformed. How does this transformation happen? Why can't he stay the same person through his life? Why past keeps slipping away from him? Marcel discovers his invisible antagonist, his hidden enemy who he cannot see, touch, or smell. It's the time is slowly killing him because time makes him change. He isn't the same person physically, mentally, experientially as 10 years ago, or last week, or even yesterday. Time makes him older, fall out of love with someone, makes forget things, people, his past obsession, pain, and pleasure. He sat there silent, watching their love expire. Nothing is permanent. It's time that turns you into many versions of you. Over your lifetime, and each version differs in his romantic feelings, outlooks, understanding of things, obsession, likes and dislikes. But involuntary, memory allows him to find the lost version of him. In that Madeleine, Marcel smells and tastes an entire childhood that he had lost. His mother, father, and dozens of other characters from his past. The things he had seen, heard, smelled, touched, and tasted. All those memories were inside that Madeleine taste sensation. In this moment of triggered memory that transports and unites him with past version of him. Parcel exists in the present and as well in the past. This moment is when you capture your past, your lost time, your lost selves. It's here that Marcel manages to defeat time, however brief that is, for in that moment. When he listened to music or smelled certain food, were suddenly transported into the past time. Time seems to have no power over you. You transit time. For Marcel, life is a series of obsession. You forget one and start another one, be it love, hobby, dream, taste in music or food. This shows that you cannot be the same person with your past selves who listen to a different kind of music, love a different person, and read different kinds of book. Sometimes, when you're reminded of those obsessions, you realize that you've changed. The lesson that we can learn in life in the book of In Search of Lost Time. We don't receive wisdom. We must discover it for ourselves. After a journey no one can take for us or spare us. And it is authenticity to how to find your true self. Inauthenticity is to be fake to please others out of fear, rejection, convenience, and laziness or politeness. Politicians, salespeople, celebrities often fake it to please a large number of people. Bruce spent years among the Parisian aristocrats and snobs only to discover how shallow, pretentious that world was, empty of any substances. The disappointment of his social world had a profound effect on Bruce. He turned to the childhood memories as fertile ground for his artistic imagination, digging deeper like an archaeologist to find common thread among all humans, because to be a true artist is to forget yourself. With that, he understood the devastating effect of time on human and how memory in turn fights back against time. He discovered art as the ultimate weapon against time and mortality.